Was it just Brock or were there others?
It was Brock, Benny, Austin.
Heck yeah. Well, ready when you are. What do you want to call it? I don't know.
I don't know the theme of your
want to talk about?
podcast. It would largely be influenced by that. What's the name of your podcast?
It's the Open Chapter Society.
The Open Chapter Society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have a theme with your previous names?
I don't know. Jaren's been naming them.
So the last one, I'll change it as I go.
Depends on the conversation. Yeah. You could just do the Lance Kunz interview. I mean, that's how it's going to start until we start chatting. Then it'll probably go someplace else. But that's for us to find out. Do you usually smoke on the podcast too?
No, we can't smoke in here. Amaron brought his cigar out the first time and just left it there. He actually did it for one of the tests and just it hasn't moved.
One of the tests?
We were doing a lot of mic tests and stuff, seeing how to do it right. We wanted to make it kind of Victorian almost, like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you've done a good job.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are we live? Woohoo. He never tells us when we're live.
He gave us 2 thumbs up. He was in the peripheral though.
I didn't even see. So, how have you been?
How have I been? I've been excellent.
Great.
I just really got married to the love of my life, Miri.
Mm-hmm.
We went on an excellent 2-week hiatus to Europe. We landed in Switzerland. The goal was to go to Switzerland and Germany for sure because both of our families are German ancestry. And then hers on the dad side is like Polish and Ireland or Irish. And then mine is Swiss from the Kunz side. So we'll have to make another trip to do the other side of her family. But we hit Switzerland, took a train through all the Alps, hit Germany, got to try the Kolsch family Pilsner, and it was, that was a good beer. Delightful. Had some incredible food, and then ended the trip off by going to Amsterdam, and we got to see Andrea Bocelli live. For those of you who don't know, he's is this Red Look at you? Okay. For those of you that don't know, he's an Italian opera singer, and I grew up listening to him. Absolutely incredible. He did his 30-year reunion tour as he's getting older, so he's not going to be doing a lot of performance anymore, but I cried. It was awesome. So powerful.
That sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the Kunz Hotel?
I haven't, but I heard that they're really common out there, I guess.
Oh.
Specifically in the Bern, Switzerland area, which unfortunately we didn't get to go to this time. There's some extended family out there that still is like interested in essentially taking Kunz's in. There's like a Facebook group about it, but there's like a guy that offers one of his homes there for you guys. Like if you're a Kunz, you can come stay, and he'll just kind of tour you around Bern and be like, this is our lineage, our ancestry, and stuff like that. So I'd like to go back and do that and chat with that guy. But before we do, Miri and I are working on learning German so that I can actually just get a more deeper understanding of what the culture was like for a variety of reasons. For one, badass.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Well, I'm not going to stop you, but we don't recommend swearing.
Okay, cool. For two, I just noticed that recently, at least in my family, with like the woke agenda stuff, because we all have a huge family, but mine did this awkward thing where they like split down the middle and started kung fu fighting. So with the woke agenda, some of them were getting really like bothered by being white and not having culture and not being like cool, and I thought it was really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought it'd be really cool to have my kids grow up with pride in their lineage. I think that it's beautiful to be whoever you are, and for us, that's Swiss German. So I want them to learn about it, and if they could grow up bilingual, that'd be pretty cool too.
That is pretty sweet. I like that idea because I like the idea of respecting your ancestors, and obviously they should be respectable, but at the same time, most of ours were, and I haven't heard any crazy stories that's like he wasn't a cool guy, you know. Though I don't know of many of our ancestors really. It's just like grandmas and grandpas, and then only grandpa's dad and his dad and his dad, and
right,
no women almost.
Right.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I think that it's probably had to do with a couple of things. That, for one, like ancient society didn't have a lot of respect for women, but it also would put them in a position of power to be tied to a man because politically they weren't respected or like protected, then by passing them from directly from the father and then to eventually the husband, then they had essentially a safer lifestyle, right? Because they didn't technically own things unless you were so and so's daughter or so and so's wife. So I think that their importance is super great, but their stories got overshadowed because of that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But we learned.
It is unfortunate. I do know there was some cultures that had more respect for women. Maybe not the most, and I don't know of any deep in history that had as much for men. But like the whole idea where your last name would be like Johnson, for example, is basically because your dad was John, and anyone could contest that if you didn't have your name saying it, but you couldn't very well contest who your mom was when, obviously you came from somewhere.
Right.
I just thought that was funny to learn about.
Yeah. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. I started a podcast.
Yeah. What's tell me about it. What was the inspiration? Who have you had on? Who are you choosing and why? What's the message? What do you want from this?
I kind of liked the idea of doing a podcast for a while, but I didn't like super care to do it. And then I watched some of a different podcast run by cousins of ours. Should I say it? I shouldn't say it, I guess.
We can't plug them? Or it's just weird?
It's weird.
Okay.
Just if I speak ill of it.
Oh.
Because they're run by cousins of ours.
Oh, I thought... Okay.
No.
Okay. Cocky start. I like it. You're crushing it so far.
I'm very cocky. But so far I've had Amaron, Benny, Helaman, and Austin on. So you're the fifth one.
I'm honored. Thanks for thinking of me.
Well, thank you for coming. I'm sorry it was such late notice. I want to get to a point of doing it a week in advance, but we've been doing it for a week.
You've been doing the podcast for a week?
Almost.
To pump out 5 episodes in 2 weeks is impressive, though. Congratulations.
Thanks. We started last Monday, so we're coming up on 2 weeks.
Okay. Do you do any editing or you just throw the live stream right on?
It is editing.
Okay.
We've only got 2 up, right? Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So you filmed 5. Gotcha. Still, that's impressive. It's a lot of work to get done.
I wanted to hammer out a bunch, partially for like YouTube and stuff, because if I got one and someone thought, I really like that, I'm going to see if they've got more, and then learned that we didn't have any more, then they would probably just drop it and not remember it and never come back or anything. And so I wanted to get out at least like 4 before we could drop down to doing it weekly. Jaron said 5 to 10, and I like that idea too. But back to you. What is your story?
Loaded question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything specific that you want to hear?
I was just thinking to ask maybe like, where did you grow up and how was it for you? Let's start with that.
Okay. I was born in Harriman, but I moved around the valley a lot. So Salt Lake Valley.
How was that moving all around the valley?
I think that I handle adversity pretty well, and I got pretty comfortable with change. I think that was a pretty consistent thing in my life. And when I was young, I didn't understand the reasons that we were moving so often. Mm-hmm. As I got older, I started to recognize what was happening, the patterns that we were putting ourselves into, and the struggles that my family was going through. And at first, I just didn't understand. Yeah. It was great though. I loved my life.
Okay.
I learned to make friends really quickly. So school was fun for me because I would have to chop it up with somebody for a few months and then bye-bye. Yeah. And then go to a different school and do it again. But I do think there's some challenges with that because there's also a level of, I don't know if this is a word, superficiality. But
that's a word.
When you're moving a lot, you don't want to build like very much of a, especially like just as a kid, right? I don't want to build too much of a connection to these kids that I'm trying to be friends with. So I learned to chat, but I didn't hang out with people outside of school and I wouldn't make deep connections because it was uncomfortable because I knew I was gonna have to leave
Mhm.
like soon, and it was always like, you know, it was never planned, but it felt inevitable, right?
Mhm.
So there are some challenges with that. Once I went to Paradigm, though, I kind of threw that out the window, and I got old enough that I was like, I feel like I could kind of live anywhere and still have my friends be my friends and still work hard to like maintain relationships regardless of where I go or where they go.
Mhm.
But it had to be a conscious effort because there was a lot that I had to learn to like break down some of those mental barriers of like even having a school friend versus a family friend because I had them all separated into categories in my head.
Mhm.
So had to start like being really intentional about breaking down those habits, I suppose, and like starting to let people in and starting to be vulnerable with people so that I could build some real depth in my relationships. That's early life, yeah. I don't know. Played sports, hung out with my siblings, had crushes, did the whole thing. It was delightful. I love
Okay.
my life.
What sort of things do you think you learned in that helped moving forward in your life?
That change is consistent. I think
Okay.
that a lot of people are really uncomfortable with change. And I think that if you can become comfortable with it, then you can grow above adversity pretty quickly.
Okay. I wanted to ask, in what all ways do you think getting comfortable with change might have helped you, and in what all ways do you think it might have hurt you, other than what you've already mentioned?
I don't want to like trauma dump too much, but I think that change, like getting comfortable with change, has helped me because of a lot of the things that we've had to go through as a family, like my immediate family specifically.
Mhm.
My dad was accused of some pretty nasty things, and my siblings are the accusers. And for the sake of neutrality, I'm not going to take any stance on who's right or wrong or anything.
Mhm.
And for privacy for those individuals. But the result of that for me was that I was 16 years old, working full time, homeless,
Mhm.
and that's not easy.
Mhm.
So I think that being comfortable with change helped me not break down, not be able to like just kind of throw everything out the window and not like give up, I guess. Whereas I have seen individuals who go through hard things or even less hard things than that and do give up.
Mhm.
So I think being comfortable with change is vital to strength, I guess, progression. At least that's what it was for me. So I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, but I've come a long way since then.
Mhm.
And I think that was because I was willing to just kind of push through and keep going, work on the things I had to work on. Hard to say in which ways it hurt me though. I don't know that I mean, you could see it as a negative. I don't gain very much like emotional attachment to things. The people in my life, of course, I do. But like things, I love throwing stuff away all the time.
Mhm.
I've had so many cars. I've had so many, like, I don't know. There's just a bunch of like random things, mementos, pictures, things that are really, really important to a lot of people that would like, become an heirloom in their family and they want to hold on to it forever. And I got like maybe too comfortable with change, if you want to look at it that
Mhm.
way. And I know that change is going to come and I know that holding on to stuff is like, becomes a pain in the butt. I have to like move it around. I have to keep it. But in the future, that means that my kids will not have a lot to, they'll have digital stuff to look back on, but they won't have like, oh, this is a picture that dad drew when he was in second grade or some of those cute things. I'm not going to have them. And I'm happy with that. I think it's ideal, but
Mhm.
that's what could be viewed as a negative, I suppose.
You ever think it's silly of people to try to keep
Absolutely.
those stuff?
100%.
Me
Well,
too.
messy, honestly. But I also recognize why it's valuable. Like it's really important to people, and I think it's important for people who it is important to do it.
Mhm.
To me, it's too much work, and I may regret that in the future if my kids are like wanting to look at my graduation cap. Bye, don't have it. Sorry, I'll show you a picture.
Mhm.
But I also think that that'll probably be one of the things that I learned to soften my heart to, because Miri has an affinity for those things, and
Mhm.
so It's kind of my perfect balance.
Yeah.
So
That's kind of how I am with pays. Well, there's some stuff like I like getting the sort of heirloom things. So like I have my dad's old leather hat and leather jacket, but that wasn't like he had them when he was my age. Like he wore them all the time. I saw him in them all the time growing up, and I wanted to be just like my dad. Is there anything like that for you, or that you want to have for your kids?
yeah, but they're not tangible. It's the learning German if we decide to go through with that, or it would be trips that I take them to Switzerland so they can learn and see what it's like to be like who they are and where they're from. And it would be like having a specific Swiss breakfast or a German dinner that happens every year on their birthday because this is who we are and we're going to remember it. Those are the things that I think that would be more important to me. Not because, like, I don't think that the kids will hold on to, oh, wow, this is my ancestry and whatever. As you get older, of course. But I think that to them, it'll be like, this is what dad does for me. He makes me this on my birthday, and it's really important to me. This is impactful because this is the way that he showed up for me.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's my version of that. And if they end up getting my old pair of shoes or something and they love that, sweet. But I'm not going to make that a priority because it's just silly, I guess. I don't know. I'd rather just get them shoes that fit and work good.
That's cute.
Yeah. But I have a little bit of sentimental value. Like this watch my dad gave me. And my favorite watch. Not because he gave it to me, just because it looks the best, but he did also give it to me. But as I get more watches, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Are you like an expensive watch kind of guy?
Yeah. For sure. I'm an expensive everything kind of guy, honestly.
Yeah.
Most of my stuff isn't super expensive, but I want it to be. So once I'm in that tax bracket, because it has to be like, I have to be able to justify it. But once we get there, yeah, for sure. Like Zach's truck, not playing.
Yeah.
And I've had people be like, oh, like you just don't need? I'm sorry, what? Who cares? I just want it. I love it. And I don't need another reason to get it except for that. So, it depends on the watch though. Some of them are really ugly and they've got like name brand, but they're really bulky or really like I wouldn't wear them. There's one side of watch collecting that is like investments, right? Because some of them, if you can buy them on a release date or if you buy it in a certain location, you have like the world has limited access to these watches, and that's how they create that rarity. But I could purchase them in those locations, sell it somewhere else for higher or wait, and it'll go up in value and things like that. For those reasons, I would purchase an ugly watch, only if it was valuable. But for anything that I want to wear personally, I really like a minimalist look, very sleek. Like this watch is very thin. Like I don't know, it's just very casual. And I feel like that looks the best.
Yeah, me too. I don't usually wear watches because I don't like stuff on my wrists. But I do like to do pocket watches. This was a cheap vest, so the pockets are fake. Otherwise, I'd have one with me now. But
happens.
Yeah.
You showed me some of the ones that you wore before. They look good.
Thanks.
Very old timey though.
I love the old timey stuff.
Yeah. I just love the aesthetic, honestly. This one doesn't even work. But all right. Who cares?
I spent, I would say, an absurd amount of money because you can get a regular pocket watch for like $13, and I spent 40 on them. But they're wind up, and that's pretty sweet. Means I don't ever need to replace batteries.
That is nice, yeah. While I was in Switzerland, I was trying to ask some of the people about what was so valuable about certain watches, and that was one of the major things is that it's mechanical instead of automatic. And so it's handmade, but it also is timeless. It doesn't have to be replaced. It doesn't have to be whatever. It's always going to be accurate, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems pretty cool to me. I haven't learned a whole lot about it. I just figure that I probably will eventually. I kind of do that. I like hyper focus on things and just kind of get super nerdy about it for a while, and then store a bunch of like random unimportant information because I spent 2 months just straight watching videos of any particular thing.
Mm.
Do that about coffee. That's why we have a bunch of coffee stuff all over the counter. Love it. Super nerdy, but it's so good. So delightful.
Are you passionate about it?
Mhm.
How come?
It tastes so good. It's so fun. Well, I've had bad coffee before, and it's criminal. I think it's it's disgusting. And a lot of people I think are like, "Oh man, I don't like coffee." You just have bad coffee. That's a you problem, honestly. I'm passionate about it because I love when my things are nice and they taste good or work well or look aesthetically pleasing. Much like the truck analogy, I don't need it. I just can have it. So why would I not? Have you ever had like a day where everything was just perfect? It's fun, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Very nice.
it's nice, but it's unrealistic, right? Not every day. Not every day can be like that, or else life would be boring. I think
When was your last one?
yesterday it was awesome.
What happened? You want to tell me about it?
Sure. But first, let me finish the point. I think a part of it for me is the excitement / journey of figuring out how can I make my life as comfortable for me as I want it to be. And so I get a lot of things that I don't need, but I want them.
Yeah.
And I can do that. I can afford to do that, so it's fine. I mean, I make it so I think everybody, you just choose what's important to you. Some people spend a lot of money on their car or their bed or their house, and whatever is important to you is going to be that thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's changing all the time. At one point, it was coffee, so now I have a really expensive coffee machine, and it'll just last for years now. And as I figure out about a bunch of random other hobbies, eventually it'll be watches, and eventually, it'll be clothing or whatever the case may be. But it's just fun for me to like really dive deep into what is valuable about these things and find out what I like about them, and then try the different, I don't know, whether it's flavors or styles or whatever that thing is, and then invest in it so that when I do use it, it's delightful and it's fun. And every day seems to get like closer to a vision that I have in my head about what my life looks like in the future. But just a bunch of small pieces, so cool to me. Yesterday was perfect because I want to say I'm spacing the whole first half, but I was quite relaxed. Oh, I just went to work. It was like fine. It was hot, but nothing special. But once I finished work, then I got to go home, and I played pickleball with my wife, and she comes from a family that's very, very book smart and not very athletic, and so she's put in a lot of work to be able to like keep up with me, and I really appreciate that. So I felt very loved just that she would do that. I mean, she has fun doing it too, so it's like not just for me, but it's still, I'm like, oh, you're working so hard for me. You're adorable, And it was delightful. And we just had music playing and the sun was going. It was like golden hour. Beautiful. Perfect. Excellent vibe. And then we just grabbed a little grub. We were just hanging out. Everything was great. One of my boys called me and he was like, hey, you're back in town. Let me come over. Let's hang out. And then I was hanging out with him. I had a little virgin mojito.
Not as fun.
Yeah. He doesn't like drinking, so we vibe. But it's like hot outside, so it was very delightful to just have a little refreshing drink and pepper, which is just a little. I play volleyball, so that's like a control game you do. And then after that, I went and played some more competitive volleyball in the nighttime.
You do volleyball a lot?
Oh yeah. And I got home around 1:30. Took Mary's car, so I didn't have a key, and I was locked out. It was awkward. I had to wake up Sameen. have him open the door for me. I felt bad for him, but I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just a perfect day. I don't know. It was just all the things I love. It was great. A little challenging. I'm sore. This last weekend I was at the national championship for our school team. I played for Utah Valley University. So I'm really, really sore because I've got a lot of playing time, which I'm super grateful for. It was also like my whole body was like, yeah. So
How'd you get to a point of playing national volleyball?
it's just one of those things that I got hyper focused on, super geeked out about it, and learned all the things, and then I accidentally spent 5 years training. I just love it. I don't know. Yeah, I had a friend in high school who started watching Haikyuu, which is a volleyball anime, and then he was like, "Dude, we have to play volleyball now," and I was like, I'm all good, dude. That's not that cool." And then he made me promise him to just try it for 2 weeks, and by the end of those 2 weeks, I loved it, and it was super, super fun. So we started the team at Paradigm, ended up just being like a club team, but the following year they put us into a charter school league, which, looking back, like the most awful volleyball I have ever seen. It's hilarious, but at the time it was really intense, and I was like, oh man, it's like a big deal with people who are really good and whatever. So started somewhere and just kept with it. I just kept enjoying it. So one night we were playing against a team called Liahona, and we won. It was really fun, but as we were leaving, it was hosted in a building in Linden that was Club V. I didn't know that at the time. It was just any other volleyball court to me. But there's a bunch of like college aged people playing like after hours, and so I went up and chatted with them, and they told me it was just an open gym, but a lot of really competitive people come play. And they pretty much were giving me the look like, oh, you're like really bad, you can't come back. But I was just like overconfident and like, oh, cool. So what time and whatever, and I'm gonna be back. And they were like, okay, sure. And then I went, and the first 2 years probably I was just getting like dunked on. Like nobody wanted to be on my team. I sucked really bad, but that made me better. So I just kind of got like, I don't know, bullied into greatness, I guess. So from there I learned about club volleyball, and then I got some like formal coaching and all that stuff. I ended up becoming a coach myself. It's been a long journey, but
all right.
After I graduated, I went and played. I just tried out for UVU. I got recruited technically by a couple other colleges, but they were either too expensive or not good enough for what my standard was at the time. So ended up at UVU, and we worked hard for it. The whole team was really dedicated. So this year I got to play like my first televised game, which was super fun. Really cool experience. Unfortunately we lost, but that was a really good tournament for us. We were 7-1. That was our first loss in the championship. It was not too bad.
Heck yeah.
I got to play like in a big T-Mobile arena, their name and like the Jumbotron and everything. It was pretty sweet.
That sounds pretty exciting. Other than your sleep schedule, is there any sacrifices you had to make for volleyball?
Sacrifices is a loose term, but the gym, I suppose. Like, I mean, I work out primarily. I used to work out primarily for volleyball. This was my last year playing for a school team. So my next step is probably going to go like VNL, which would be like semi-pro. But like, I guess you could look at that as a sacrifice. But I also think it's just like healthy. It's good to work out. So I got a lot from it. I did spend a lot of time doing it, but money, for sure. I spent a lot of money on school in order to play. And school is expensive.
Did you only go to school to play?
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. So I crushed it my first year and a half, and then I realized I don't have to crush it, and I have to pass. I could just not. And so I didn't. And that was a interesting decision. I still don't technically agree with it, but it is what I did. So I failed all my classes this last semester and just played volleyball and worked. And it was way less stressful, way more fun. But also, spent a few grand just poorly because I'm not even getting credit for them.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I didn't want the credit. I don't expect to use a degree for my career, so it's kind of an awkward spot to be in. I wasn't sure what I want to do with that.
What other passions have you had in your life, like volleyball?
I used to scooter. That was a really, really big passion before volleyball. I've got a lot of competitive drive.
Mm-hmm.
I think similar to what you said, where you're like, I just want to prove that I can be the best. To me, that whole journey is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I always end up finding out that I'm not the best. There's always somebody a lot better than me. But I learn from them, and and I get a lot better because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been really excited about that progress, just learning.
Okay.
So, scootering was for sure one of them. I used to compete in that as well. Took first in a couple tournaments, which was sweet. Traveled for it, and then the skate park crowd is just really bummy.
How do you mean?
I had several friends who were, mind you, they were like 4 years older than me, like most of the crowd that I was hanging out with. So some of the things were a little bit more appropriate for them to be dabbling in than me. I was 12 at the time; they were 16, but still seems really young for me to do some of the stuff they were doing. But anyways, at first it started, they were just a little older. They're starting to get interested in girls, things like that. So they're all starting to date and encourage me too. And I was like, that's like weird. I'm 12.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what anything is yet. So started there, but then they all started to get into like drugs and alcohol. And of course it started with weed and then like whatever, shrooms, cocaine. We got offered, I think we got offered cocaine at the skate park once. And probably meth. Like some gnarly stuff. Like, I'm just a kid. I don't know who you are or why you're offering me that, but that's really gross. Yeah, just bummy people to be around. They're not really working real hard in their lives. There's, I mean, you know, the classic saying that you become the, like, what is it, the 5 closest people to you in your circle or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably said a lot more eloquently than that, but I found that to be true, and that the people that I hang out with really do influence my thoughts and my actions. Even my perseverance in trials has been influenced by my circle. So having a circle that was underachieving was pretty detrimental to the path that I wanted for my life. So I decided to stop scootering so I wouldn't be around them anymore. I stopped for about a year or two, and then I went back just to kind of mess around, have some fun on it. Saw a few of my friends there. I was pretty cold to them, which I feel a little bit bad about now. But I started asking some questions about what had happened to a few of the friend group, right? Because I'm not seeing them around anymore and don't see them posting on social media and things like that. And there was a few who had not in my immediate friend group, but in like an extended friend group. 2 had gone to prison, 1 for rape and 1 for murder.
Oh my.
And another one was in jail for shooting a gun in a neighborhood, just like in the sky or something like that. But all of that after the 2 years of where I had gone from like, you know, really tight with these people to, okay, I think I should probably break it off now. And then I don't know, that hearing those things just really solidified it. I was like, wow, I made the right choice. Super glad I'm not associated with these dudes anymore. This is gnarly.
What sort of skills or other things have you learned between volleyball and soccer that you think have helped you out in other areas of your life?
Scootering and volleyball, but
Did I not say that?
soccer.
Oh,
All good. All good. Will you ask the question one more time? How they help me in other skills of my life?
What skills or other lessons have you learned doing that have helped you in other areas of your life?
I would say the compound effect, probably the biggest one.
What's that?
The compound effect is essentially a theory that life-changing growth doesn't happen in big moments. It happens in the small moments every single day. And so the people that, you know, they have the $1 million houses and income and cars, and they can take their family on trips and fly in private jets, like all those people, aren't incredible because they did one really cool thing one time, or even a really cool thing 100 times. It was because they had a few basic principles and things that they needed to do, and they did those for a year straight until it was habit, and then they added on another 2 for a year straight until it was habit, and those 2 compound over the next years and years and years, right? So as they get older, they start to accelerate their progress in life so much faster, and it looks like a really big feat one time to an outsider, but it has started always so much farther back in their habits and even just in defining their goals. It's put a lot more eloquently by the author of a book actually called The Compound Effect, which is where I finally that was the first time I had, I guess, realized what it was, but that was the skill that I think I learned from scootering and from volleyball. I did it on accident. I just fell in love with the game. And so I would go all the time and learn. But by being that consistent, I was able to build a volleyball IQ and learn how to talk to people on the court and learn how to run plays and learn how to, have the mechanics correctly so I could learn how to hit harder and jump higher and all those things.
Okay.
But it happened every day on the court, consistently showing up to practice. And then one day I just looked back at film from a couple years ago of me attacking a ball, and it looks so much different than it looks now. And it's weird because it didn't feel that different. You're with yourself every single day, so it doesn't look dramatic. But looking back, there was a huge compound effect. So I think that was probably the most powerful skill that I learned, is just understanding that my life can change dramatically if I keep track of my disciplines, I suppose.
You mentioned your wife before.
Yeah.
How'd you meet her?
I met her for the very first time in first grade. I was in her same class. Well, first grade class. I actually don't recall if we were in the same teacher, but I used to walk her home from school. We had a really similar route. So I would just walk with her until it was time for me to break off and go to my own house. One day her older sister scared me away. I don't remember what she said, but I remember she was scary. And so I didn't walk with them anymore. And then I didn't see her again until 7th grade. She was a mutual friend, I suppose. We didn't start talking until 9th grade. But anyways, high school. High school is when we started actually chatting. And once we were old enough to date, we dated for 2 years. And then we broke up for about 10 months. And then realized that we didn't want to be with anybody else. And both tried dating some other people and learned some really hard lessons. And then decided to do long distance for a little while until she came home from college. So then we dated for another 1.5 or 2 years by now, probably. She had a couple conversations with me about it, essentially saying that she's really in love with our relationship and she's in love with the vision that we both have for the future that we share. And she really likes it, but also needs to know if it's not going to be forever, because she has certain goals that are time sensitive, right? She wants to be a young mom. So she's like, if that's not going to be what you want, then I need to know now, because I got to find somebody who is going to have the life that I want, because this is what I want, right? And so it started getting me to think a lot more about proposing. And then I sat on it for a few months, and I was really stressed out with my business at the time. But I had a really cool moment where I had finally decided, of course I want to propose eventually, but I hadn't really given myself a timeline. And I had just barely stepped away from the business that I was working on and started a brand new one with essentially $0 to my name. And so I was like, oh man, this is really hard. How am I going to do this? But I made just a commitment with myself. I made a little contract. I was like, okay, if, in this new business, my margins are a little bit higher. And so I'm going to give myself X amount of time. This is what I'm going to do to pull in some revenue. Once I close my first deal, actually install it, money in my account, I know I'm going to be okay. I'm going to go buy a ring. And I know it's all the money I have. but I had to do it. So I had a really cool moment where I was working for maybe the first 2 months. I didn't get a cell, but finally did, and I was like bawling. I was so excited. I like told Miri, and I was like, "Oh, like this is so cool," but I couldn't tell her why it was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, "Okay, nice, you got work. Like, good for you." Not that I mean, like it's cool, but it's not like life changing. But like I was acting like it was because it was. She just didn't know that yet. So it was really cool. So I went and bought the ring, and we had already purchased tickets to go to Tahiti in October of that year, of 2025. So pop the question there. It was beautiful, excellent. Wouldn't have changed a thing.
You said that she wants to be a young mom. Are you wanting to be a young dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My goal, not like, I don't know. Young is subjective. Our family is a little bit extreme, I think, compared to the rest of the world. And, well, even just Utah is pretty extreme compared to most of the world. But I think that I'd like to be 25 area. She would have put her at about 23, 24 also. That gives her time to go and finish her degree and then have kids. So
Okay.
our current plan is to move to California this September. We're gonna stick around for the summer, hang out with family, try to go boating or camping or whatever we can to just save up a little bit of money. We have an excellent deal on rent with your dad, so that helps a lot. And California is going to be expensive, so we're just kind of putting money away. So once we go to California, she's going to start school again, and we'll have 4 years out there for her to finish her degree, and then hopefully come back here, and then we'll have kids because my family's here and her family's here. We want to have our support systems and all those things.
Okay.
And I love Utah, so that's one thing.
If you don't want to answer this, that's fine. I know we might have a lot of viewers, or at least a lot of people view this episode before you get the chance. What are you thinking in the way of baby names?
I actually have a few that I really like, and Miri really doesn't like them. So we'll see what I can pull together. I'm gonna have to bring up some compelling arguments, but I think for a boy, it would be super cool to call him Hezekiah. I just think it's tough. I don't know why, but Miri's like, ugh, that's an ugly name. So, we'll see what happens. And then I'm not sure why, but I've also really liked the name Paisley and Rebecca for a girl. But she's got a whole list as well, so we'll have to compare notes.
Yeah. There's a whole list too. She was telling me just the other day we were talking about baby names, and she was like, when we got together, I thought that I would have to talk you into doing some crazy names, but I think I need to talk you out of some of them.
One time we were chatting about it, and she's like, "Oh, like I'm gonna call her Dorothy." I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's disgusting. I'm not gonna my daughter's gonna be born 80. What? Like, I can't do that to her." She's like, "No, it's so cute because we can call her Dot." I was like, "That's adorable, but we could just call her Dot. You know that, right? Like we could just." It's our kid. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
It's free game. I really don't know where we're gonna end up with that. It's still a few years out for that conversation, but I'm excited to see what we end up with.
Yeah. For me, I like the name Peregrine.
One more time.
Peregrine.
Peregrine. Sounds like a dragon name from like.
It's actually in Lord of the Rings. Pippin. His full name is Peregrine Took. They just call him Pippin for short. And I just think it'd be cute. Have a little kid named Pippin or Pipsqueak, whatever you want.
It's like cute, but also disrespectful.
How?
Pipsqueak? That's criminal. Well, once he gets a little older.
Imagine if
when
he's like
cute and little, it's
a little 3-year-old running around Pipsqueak. When he gets older, call him Pip or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's adorable. It is, but what if he gets called Pipsqueak through his whole life anyway?
He'll beat him up.
Huh?
He'll beat him up.
Yeah. You better hope that kid gets big and strong.
I'm sure he will. I'm going to make him help me with stuff,
Right.
Just if I'm out in the yard building a shed or something, gonna make the kids come and help.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of events do you think shaped your life and turned you into who you are now?
There's a few pivotal moments, and I think that they're still coming. One of them was, I guess, a family meeting that we held at Liz's house, and she lived in Draper. Sandy. She had all the older boys over to have the birds and the bees talk with the dads. Tegan and I were pretty young at the time, but just kind of got roped into it too, because we're doing it now. You might as well hear it. Like probably, a little too young for us, but whatever. They were just like not so concerned if we were paying attention, but just like come outside and be here for it. Anyways, so the older boys got the birds and bees talk, and then everybody had some food and was hanging out. Everyone went inside, but I think it was Zach and my dad were just having a chat by the fire, and I had like fallen asleep on this chair, but woken up for this part of the conversation, and they were explaining what it means to have integrity, and that Zach's definition, I don't know if it's the exact definition, but his definition was to do, like, to be the same person when people are watching and when they're not. I thought that was a really beautiful rendition of integrity. Which, are you looking it up right now? I'm curious to hear what the technical term means.
Integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness, or the state of being whole and undivided.
Beautiful.
The condition of being unified, unimpaired, or sound in construction.
I like it. So Zach equated that to being the same person when people are watching and when they're not. And that really stuck with me because those two, Zach in particular, is just somebody who I look up to a lot in so many ways. I think he lives a really cool life, has a cool job, great relationships with his family, provides really well for them. Just, he's that guy, So, and as I've gotten older, he's become one of my best friends. So that's super tight. But that moment really shaped me. And I guess just realized how much I appreciate that in the people that I have met with integrity. I love being able to count on them. Love being able to know that they'll be consistent. They'll do the things that they said they were going to do. And it's not always easy, but I try to do it anyways. Even in small ways, like today, I woke up pretty, just achy from my tournament and didn't feel like coming to do this. But I told you I did it, so I was here, and I'm dressed up, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it with real intent and real effort, even though I was didn't take care of myself well throughout the day, so I was having a headache and whatever else was my problem, but just kind of had to set it aside because a man with integrity would show up when he says he's going to show up. And so it's like a small gesture, but to me, those things mean a lot when people are intentional about being the same when people are and aren't watching. If something else comes to mind, I'll let you know. But
all right, thanks. I did want to take a second and ask if any of our viewers have questions for you. If that's all right.
Yeah.
So Paisley asks, what business did Lance start?
I have started 2 businesses by now. Successfully ran the first one into the ground. That was Adam's joke at my wedding. It was delightful. It was an auto detailing business. Started that out of high school. And then I ran it, ended up hiring Adam and hired Garrett. And then I was originally a co-owner with Kaylin, and we had an equal stake. And then when we hired Adam, he made him an owner with an equal stake immediately, and I was very confused. And then we hired Garrett, he made him an owner with equal stake, and I was mad. And then he's really persuasive, I suppose. I didn't really agree with his plans or the way he wanted to run the business, but he had a lot of confidence in his plans and was just, I guess, really just won the argument. He won the votes when we would have company discussions. So we kind of did things his way, and then lost a bunch of money and I was really mad and left.
Mhm.
I say I sold my company, but that's just because sounds prettier. It's easier to explain to people instead of all the details. And then the second one is what I still own it now. It's called K-Fresh Coatings, and it's just essentially the higher end, like the higher ticket sales in detailing. Because you have like your auto detail, right? Which is just, I mean, you can do like an interior, exterior, wax package, little upsells, things like that. But you can also do things like scratch repair or paint protection film or ceramic coatings, and those things are all a lot higher ticket and higher margins. But they also take more precision and training certifications, stuff like that. So I went and got the certifications for those and just focused solely on the higher ticket sales. So right now I technically just do paint protection film and ceramic coatings. Focus on boats and other stuff because they're more expensive, bigger jobs pay more. But I got all my certifications done and then I was like, man, I really don't love this. So kind of awkward. I spent a few grand doing all that and then I was like, well, I'm going to leave now. So I still own the company and I still have like a few residual clients who like ask for things, but for the most part, it's not my focus. I'm trying to find out, kind of back to the drawing board right now, see what I like and see what I want to do with my future. Cause I really have enjoyed owning a business and the freedom that it gives me. Cause I've had some really, really cool wins, like over $1,000 in a day. And I'm like, oh, this is so sweet. And then other days where it's like the 2 months was out sales and I'm like, what am I going to do? So, I've learned a lot from it, but I really, really love the challenge of owning a business and the freedom of owning a business. So I still want to do that, but I don't know what business I want to own. And auto detailing industry is not one that I want to be a part of anymore.
Okay. How come you don't want to be a part of it?
Just fell out of love with it. Gross to clean stuff. I felt like I was always cleaning cars or boats for people who are more important than me. It hurt my ego.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Did we have any other questions or no?
What day made you the happiest you've ever been? Both of you.
You want to go first?
Good question. I am fortunate enough to have experienced a lot of joy from a lot of different events in my life. I don't know that I could pin one down as the greatest. I say that my wedding was the best day of my life, but I think that'll only be true until I have kids and things like that. There's always the next best thing. So that was such a wonderful landmark for us. And I'm so, so grateful that I have had the opportunity to do that. But I've also experienced immense joy from other things in my life that I don't know how to explain that. It's like a lot of love, but in different ways. Because there's like a lot of romantic love with Miri. And then she became my family. And so I got this extra tie of like, wow, this is my person. I'm going to build a life with her. This is incredible. But I've also had like some of the greatest days of my life just chatting with Adam and couldn't fall asleep because we were up talking, laughing about every single thing. And some of those are the greatest days of my life. And other days where I got to, worked really, really hard to compete or to make a team or to do something. And I finally had a breakthrough and like did it. And those would be like those moments, I suppose, just those wins. But I think it's often whenever I'm reminded of the joy I feel from working hard for the life that I want, that brings me a lot of joy.
All right. That's a good answer. I would say that the day that brought me the most joy in my life was probably the day I was born.
Okay.
I wouldn't have got any joy if not for that day.
couldn't have done it without that.
Yeah.
Very direct answer. I like that.
Well, I just thought it would be a fun play on words, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm very specific about some stuff, but I don't know. The answer they were looking for, I don't know. Because like you were saying, I've had a lot of great days.
Yeah.
I expect to have some. The wedding day was obviously very fun. My family does Passover instead of Easter, and every one of those is awesome. I think this most recent Thanksgiving was the only one that wasn't amazing. And that was just because It was our first year being married, and Paige wanted to be there for her family for everything, and I wanted to be there for my family for everything. And so we were going back and forth between the houses and ended up missing everything.
That is challenging.
Mm-hmm. Any day that's a feast, really. I love it. I don't know what it is. Just so yummy.
My best, most recent day was yesterday for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just playing pickleball with Miri, listening to the music. I just threw on a playlist and every song was a banger. And then, yeah, just laughing together. It's just being in the moment for the small things was so like incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any more questions?
Back to your business. You said you sold or you wanted to get out of auto detailing. Or
Mm-hmm.
you have a question here. What do you want to do as a job/business for the rest of your life?
That is actually something that I have been struggling with, which is, and it's a huge question for me. I'm trying to find out that myself right now. I have a few prospective careers, and I was recently working a job that I was pretty depressed at. And looking back, it was a cool experience, and I did what I was supposed to do or whatever. Taylor's Boats hired me on to be their detail manager. So that's what I was doing while right when I moved in with you guys. But I just hated it. I don't know. I was really cocky, and I felt like they weren't paying me enough, even though it's the salary I agreed to. But I was like, this is my only option right now. You're lucky. And I just had been so burnt out by detailing. So I spent pretty much my whole time there trying to figure out what do I want to do, because once I leave this, I'm gonna get married. I gotta figure out some way to provide. I gotta figure out some way to not dread going to bed, so I don't have to go to the job that I hate in the morning. Because I've had a few experiences like that where, well, just two. One was I sold solar for about 5 months in California, and for 2 weeks in Florida. But I had a conversation with Miri that she was just like, this is, she started to notice a pattern once she came and visited me. We were long distance at the time. She came and visited me, and I was staying up way late and then waking up just in time to go to work. And she was like, dude, what is wrong with you? This isn't who you are. You don't, this is not the way that you usually act. And I was like, I just hate this job so much. It's making me so miserable. So the sooner I go to bed, the sooner I have to wake up. Don't go to bed. You don't wake up. You're just hanging out. So she encouraged me to leave that one. And then a similar thing with Taylor's Boats, where I just started to really hate it and didn't want to go to bed because then I have to wake up and work again, and felt like all my time was just living for somebody else, and it was just miserable. Anyways, that was a pretty big tangent. The prospective careers that I've looked into right now are a loan officer. I met some gentlemen who do that, and it's essentially just a part of the closing cost when you buy a house. Somebody has to originate that loan and make sure that everything is in order, the contracts are right, and kind of boring work day to day, but the overarching accomplishments I think are really cool, because real estate really interests me, people really interest me, and being able to spend my day to day helping people buy their first home or a rental property, or whatever the thing is, and being able to be the person that really actually officially makes that go through with the banks, I think that would be really interesting to me. And the other one was to be an insurance agency owner, which is a pretty big, it's a pretty long career path. It takes a long time to be able to do that. But at the high levels, those guys make a lot of money, and they have the freedom to be available and present for their families. So that's really what I want, is to find some place where I can go to work every single day and not hate it, and then have the flexibility to be able to be a present dad and husband, and like anybody, I want as much money as I can get, so I can, not as much as I get necessarily. I want to have enough that all of our needs are taken care of. We can go on fun trips, and we can have some investments and stuff. I don't have to be private jet rich, but I would love to be able to be really comfortable. So I don't know, but those are the two things I'm looking into right now. I just barely got a job selling cars. So if you want a car, hit me up. But
I don't know who it is, but they're stealing my questions. After all this, I was going to ask what you're planning on doing next.
selling cars.
Any other questions or? All right.
That's a new record for the podcast, though. 3 for the guest.
Woohoo.
Oh, maybe.
I just remember you telling me a while ago that detailing cars opened up an opportunity to detail planes.
It did.
How was that? What was that like?
It was really cool. It was very surreal. So I got the call, and this was at the point in my company where Kalen and I started together, and then he went on his mission, and we just signed a contract where he was just going to make 8% of whatever the company makes while he's gone, which was a pretty gangster deal for him, I think. Ended up being a little bit awkward because once I got hired on by the jet company, I was no longer, I wasn't contracted out. I was hired W-2 for them. But anyways, so I was working by myself and honestly starting to get a little burnt out. But they called me and they're like, "Hey, we've got some jets. We need you to come clean them. They're you have a really good reviews, so that's why we're calling your company." And I was like, "Yeah, what? Jet? Like surely you can't be serious." And they're like, "Yeah, we just want to interview you and see if you'd be a good fit for our team." And so I told Miri that I was going to meet some dude in Salt Lake, and if I don't call her back in 10 minutes, both ways, because this is like some random address in downtown Salt Lake, and I was like, ooh, a little bit of a weird feeling about this. So I pulled up. And I go into a on the outside, it doesn't look super like bougie, but it is right next to the airport. So I was like, okay, we're in the right spot at least. And then there was a keypad on the door, and they just told me the code so I could get in, and I was like, this feels like oddly trusting for like a first interview. And I walked in, and it was just like blinding white. Like the walls are white, the floor is all white tile, huge, just hangar, and I was like, this is not real. This is crazy. And there was, just private jets in there. I've never seen them in real life before. It was crazy. I didn't realize how much wealth was actually in Utah. Like I knew you hear it's around, celebrities have private jets, whatever. This is like, it's in my backyard. Like people that I interact with day to day own jet. Like they're rich. I had no like real reference for what that was like. So it was really cool to get to know them. Super cool people. They own, they run the business really well. They really, really take care of their people. I partially regret leaving that company. I left for the same reason. One of the same reasons that I got frustrated at Taylor's Boats was just that I could not grow anymore. They had me capped out at my salary, and there wasn't like clear path for more money. And I am pretty impatient. So I was like, well, I bet I could figure it out on my own. And so I just wanted to leave and go back to school or whatever, which, not the wisest of decisions, but I had a few pretty incredible experiences there. Cleaned the jets, made a few cool connections. One of the most like wild to me was that the jets have to have, I think it's like every 2 years or something, maybe every 5 years, I don't recall. They have to go through a really, really intense inspection. Some of these jets are like old, like 1954 Cessna 500, like whatever. They're old, but they are really, 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 really well maintained because the FAA requires them to be. And so this inspection they go through, they essentially pull the entire thing apart and rebuild it to make sure it's literally perfect.
Are they jets or planes?
Both. So we would manage, the company I worked for was called Duke Aviation, and they're a Part 91 management company. And so people with a private jet would hire this company to house their aircraft, manage, pilots and schedules and all of their fuel and food, like, their catering, anything that they want on planes. And then depending on the client, they would have different vehicle. It's just a bus for the air. So it's depend on whoever they were and what they bought. So there's some names I'm sure you'll recognize. Wright Homes. You guys work closely with them. The owner of Wright Homes is a gentleman named Colin Wright. He had a jet with us that was, we called it Charlie Romeo because of the tail number. I forget what his first plane was, but it was worth about $20 million. He sold that one while I was there and ended up buying a G550, which is worth about $80 million. His more so than that because he gutted the interior and completely redid it. So that one was a jet, but then there was other clients who are some like, there's a couple people, like a couple doctors that own their practice in Park City and other things like that, who had a Pilatus, a PC-12, which is like a 12 passenger, but it's got a prop on it. So they still, it's a plane technically, but anyways, they would require different maintenance. So I had to learn a few different things on how to like take care of jets because the leading edge of the wing, they have something they call bright work on a jet. It's like they essentially run the exhaust of the engine through the leading edge of the wing so that it gets really, really hot during flight because otherwise ice will build up on the edge and you'll have turbulence. And so that would keep it really, really hot because the exhaust is going straight through it, right? But the metal constantly getting hot and cold like that makes it get pretty dull, and these people have money. So we can't have an ugly plane. We can't even they wouldn't even let us have bugs on it. Like it has to be perfect every time they show up because they could be showing up with a client who's going to, buy them another one. So it's got to look perfect so you can impress them, like all sorts of things. So my job was to make sure that there was zero bugs, zero crumbs, that all the bright work was like super, super shiny and polished all the time. But then if it was like a PC-12, then that would be a different kind of plane. And they have a different mechanism. So on the leading edge of theirs, it's called a boot. And it's a really thick rubber and it expands and contracts. So as it builds, the ice breaks it off. And then that way they can stay smooth during flight. Kind of cool. So those things, they have to be maintained with a really, really thick substance that I don't even know what it was called. But I had to like scrub forever to get the old stuff off and then reapply it. And it was just like a super durable rubber that would go over the rubber. It was weird. Really interesting systems though. So I got to learn a lot. It was super cool. But back to the main story, one of the most like surreal things that happened to me while I was there was I was just in the lobby kind of chatting with my boss for a sec. And then he had to take a call. So he just took the call. And this gentleman, he owned a PC-12, one of our oldest PC-12s, like one of the worst ones. His company did helicopter rides in Yellowstone, I think, or somewhere in Wyoming. I think he had a couple locations. He would take people up on helicopter tours, and then I think he would also drop some people off to ski on top of mountains and stuff, just like helicopter stuff. But mind you, just like for reference, this is one of the like less wealthy of the clients that they had. We called him up because he's got to get his inspection done for his plane, and it was $970,000 or $980,000. And he was like, "Hey, John or whatever his name was, the inspection." Yeah, that was the other thing. All the aviation stuff, way more expensive than I would have ever realized. Like would have ever like thought of. Replacing a window is $17,000. Replacing a wheel is $34,000. Anything that I scratch, my life, I don't know. Like they don't mess around. It's so expensive. So even like fuel, depending on the plane, fuel to get off the ground could be like $3,000 to $10,000 and just gone. And people just got it like that. It's pretty incredible. But anyways, so cheaper plane. He's got to get an inspection done. We're calling him, letting him know, hey, it's gonna be $980,000. Can we go ahead and go through with this? And he was like, why? What? Why are you calling me? Like, duh, just do it. Like, not rude, but like genuinely just like, of course, I can't, anything else. I have the plane. I can't do anything without the inspection. Like, why would you even ask me? It's $980,000. It's just $1 million. And I was just like, excuse me? That's life-changing money for most people. Like, and it was he didn't even want to be bothered with that, and he was like on the lower end of the jet people. So that just I still, it like breaks my mind when I think about it. I'm like, holy crap, these guys are balling. This is crazy.
I don't want to be that rich.
Yeah, it was nuts. I was just trying to like meet them sometimes, like when they would go out for their flights or whatever. I would just go and mosey over there, introduce myself, whatever, just so they could recognize me, or I could, I don't know, any connection you can make. If they like you, one day they might do something that like gets you a job or a connection or whatever in the future. So I just wanted to like be a face that they recalled. And one gentleman in particular, his name was Buzz Warner, super wealthy family. I was just trying to chat him up and like let him know that I'm like happy to, like, I'm his detailer. I do all of his cars and all of his jets. And like, I was like, hey, they look good because of me. This is who I am. Put a face to the name kind of thing. And he was just like, just chill guy, just thanks, whatever. But as we were talking, I just like grabbed a bag and literally like maybe 10 feet, like grabbed it from his truck bed, put it in the plane. And I was just kind of chopping it up with him. He was like, cool, thanks. And then he just like handed me 100. And I was like, what? Like, no, I don't want to decline that. But also I'd moved the bag 10 feet and it was a light bag. It is not that deep. And but I also know that like to him, it's worth less than a sneeze. So I was like, okay, I guess. Weird. I don't know. They just throw it around. They're like, it literally is just a thing to them. It's not special. So, but it happens in Utah. I knew that it happened in the world. I didn't know that it happened here at home.
Yeah.
So, pretty
That
incredible.
is wild. All right. How about this? What's the quote of the day?
Oh,
I was about to. I was going to reiterate the question so that he would start thinking and then let it sit for a second and then say, the last one was such and such.
well, let's hear it.
All right. The last one was from Austin, and he said, take a flower in your hand and look at it. Just for a moment, that flower is your whole world. He got the quote wrong, but we looked it up, and I liked the way that he said it better than the official one.
Cute. I would say the quote of the day is something that I saw recently on Instagram. And it is, what if it worked? And it's significant because so many people have a really, really big dream and they stop themselves before they try. They stop themselves from trying because they could fail. But what if it worked? How would your life change if the thing that you wanted worked? How would your life change if you wrote those 40 books and you became a top seller? What if it worked?
Mm-hmm.
Like what if it actually happened just because you did it? And there's a million people out there that have a dream, have a business they want to start, have a relationship they want. What if it worked? Why aren't you trying? We got one chance at this life. Let's do it.
I like
Let's
that.
do it to the best we can.
I really like that. And I had one more question for you. Who is someone that you look up to, you respect and admire? Who is someone that I should try to get on?
Adam.
All right. How come?
He's one of the funniest people that I have ever met. He is incredibly intelligent, methodically detailed, and he's an inspiration to me because of the way he handles his relationships. I don't know a single person that isn't like genuinely in love with him.
He's a pretty sweet guy.
You don't know him, but like everybody that knows him intimately, it's like I know people intimately, and I piss them off. Like a lot of people have not like loved what I do or the way I do it, and I get that. That's valid. Everybody loves that kid. It's just awesome.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Of course. Cheers.
I was wanting to get him on it sometime. At this point,
I thought that
we
was
can
it.
just hang out if we want.
Okay.
Our goal is to reach 2 hours, and then if we do it, we just keep hanging out and having fun. And if we don't have fun, then we turn it off.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I hate to cut it off, but Mary says dinner is almost ready.
Ooh,
I would
lucky
like
you.
to go eat.
I already ate. Well,
You advised me to eat before this, but I did not heed those warnings.
Yeah. Well, I hope you've got good food.
You have a little outro or something? Bye-bye. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. I
Look
appreciate
forward
it.
to seeing the progression of your podcast, and shout out to Jaron for doing all
Thank
this
you.
hard work.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. Anyway, until next time, my name is Jaxon Kelsch, and you've been watching the Open Chapter Society.